So why was I single for over 10 years of my life, and how did I eventually get a girlfriend? Now, I spent most of my 20s single. In my early 20s, I did date a few girls, and in my late teens, but then I went and had an extreme dry spell. You would have found more water in the Sahara. It was barren. And when I say single, I mean single. No dates, no dating, nothing. And the reasons were I was focusing on myself. And, really I didn't need to do that at the start, because I was going from girl to girl to girl in late teens, early 20s. I needed them to make me feel happy. I was going into these dating relationships, small relationships, having these expectations that the girl was going to make me feel happy, and I felt like sad and depressed without it. And if they didn't do that, I would get annoyed and angry and have all this baggage that I was bringing in. And I realized that was a bad thing to do, to bring in these expectations of happiness into dating, into a relationship. So I was like, I need to work on that within myself, figure out how to be happy. And so I did. I fixed that, and kind of after that, I never really found anybody else that I was so interested in. I think partly the need, the desperation to find a girl for that had gone, and also I didn't really find anybody else as well. So there's kind of two sides of the coin to that. The pressure there had kind of dissipated. Not that I wasn't wanting to find somebody, love, of course, but I was now waiting for like an amazing person to come along. And then the next point, I was starting all these business ventures, and I was like, I need to focus on the business, and having a girlfriend would be a big distraction. And it would be because they take up a lot of time, and you want them to take up a lot of time. You love spending time with your girlfriend. It's like such an amazing thing to do. So you want to give them a load of time, 10 plus hours a week, maybe 20 hours a week even sometimes. And it is a lot of time when you're trying to focus and work hard and grind and grow my business. And then I spent years and years in failure. My businesses did not take off at all. No, it was very bad. And then I became depressed and struggled, particularly going into COVID. It was not great. And then we get to my late 20s. I was really not in a dateable state then. And because just depression, and I was sitting in my room and hadn't left it for 7,000 hours. And I guess looking like a homeless man with dirty hair and non-shaved beard does not get you any bitches. And also not leaving your room. It's very hard to meet people. And I was depressed and not in a good place. Didn't want to interact with anybody because I felt like a failure, pathetic, and all of that. But towards my late 20s, I was trying to start to get out of that and improve my looks, have a better haircut, etc., wear nicer clothes or whatever. And I moved to Canada, as soon as we were out of lockdown. I was like, I'm getting out of here. Went to Canada for a while. I was in France, and in those times I was on the dating apps, on all the dating apps, multiple countries. And no bites, even though I was in all these different places and tried to redo my profiles, all the different photos. I even paid for like premium gold on Tinder and what have you. Nothing. Swiping so much my fingers went numb. I spent hours and hours on them. Could have written a 1,000-page fucking novel in the amount of time I spent. But I guess my face just looks like a screwed up Picasso in a photo or whatever, because I was rejected by the entirety of the female population across 3 different countries. And that is hard to swallow. And I almost got a couple of dates here and there, and then it happened to me like 3 times, stood me up at the last minute. Like, I had arranged to meet them, and then got one, I got a text right before, and then the others ghosted me, and then the other just never showed. And that was out of how many thousands of women did I scroll and and blah blah blah. I guess dating apps is just a nightmare of a situation, and I know I am not a Greek god in terms of my looks, but I'm also not the most ugly guy out there, right? But anyway, I don't know. I'm not great in photos, I guess. So yeah, apps no good for me. And in person, I tend to be come across better. And I was trying to interact and socialize in other places, but again, nothing. I never really found anybody there through those in those countries. But when I was back home, and I've been back home in Ireland for about a month or so, and my sister was organising this charity table quiz thing, and I wasn't going to go. I didn't really want to go. I wasn't really interested. I didn't want to go and socialise and see some people I hadn't seen in like 20 years and do some awkward like conversations and what have you. But my whole family was going, people were going. They were like, oh, we were expecting you to come. And I was like, okay, fine. I will go. So before I went, I took like 3 or 4 shots of whiskey just to like give me some courage to do it there. And in the middle of the thing, I get introduced from a friend that I have to a cute girl. And I saw this girl working at the store and I was like, oh, she's kind of cute. And then in the middle of it, my friend who was at this introduced me to her other friend, this girl. And so then we start talking, and then the introducer friend leaves. She just leaves, goes and starts talking to this other person, and me and this cute girl are now having this kind of conversation. It's a bit like awkward because I'm like, oh crap, there's a cute girl in front of me, and I haven't interacted with an attractive woman in like a decade. I don't know what to do here. I'm starting to freak out on the inside. I'm very glad that I had a load of whiskey beforehand, like I had this disgusting biscuit in my hand, and we're in between rounds, and like I'm starting to sweat and panic. But she's like talking and like starting to be a bit flirty there, and you know we're talking well, and then you know that kind of the round ends, and I was like, oh, we should probably kind of like I don't know why I didn't like want to linger. You know, me now I want to stay in that moment, but I was just like freaking out on the inside. So yeah, when there was a break in the rounds. So we go back to our, you know, groups, and we were in different groups. And then after the thing, she's kind of like hanging out around near me, and I'm trying to like help set down things, you know, put the chairs away and what have you. This is my sister's event, and she starts to help me out with a few things, and then we start talking, and she's kind of flirty and playful, and she's so confident as well. And then, you know, towards the end of it, she was like, hey, what's your Instagram? She asks me for my. I wouldn't have asked her. I was kind of shy and, you know, socially awkward, and she asks me for my Instagram. I'm like, what's going on? I even pause. I'm like freaking out. I don't immediately go, oh yeah, take it. I'm just like, what? And then I'm like, oh yeah, here you go. And then so we like exchanged Instagrams and what have you. And then, you know, we say goodbye, and I kind of sent her like a message being like, oh, don't eat all these sweets, because she took a load of sweets home that were left over, blah, blah, blah. And then she said, I ate them all in one go. And then I just sent her like a gif or something of it, I think from like Despicable Me eating a load of sweets, candy, you know, for Americans. And then kind of like, that was it. And then she sent me an awkward emoji face, kind of like, say something else, you know. I'm like, okay, so she wants to talk to me. And I'm just thinking, is she just being friendly in my head, or is she actually digging me? And, you know, we go back and forth a bit and, you know, have a little bit of a conversation, but it dies out after a day or so. And then I'm like, oh, I guess that was it. I will probably not talk to this girl ever again in my life. What a shame. But then, out of the blue, you know, it's like a couple of days later, she just like pops a text in a question to me. Would you want to get some coffee? Sometime. And I'm like, are you asking me on a date? Are you asking me on a date? And I'm just freaking out here. And I'm like, this girl is asking me on a date. And yeah, so we go meet up for coffee, and then, you know, we start kind of dating, loosely dating from there. It was like very friend dating first, but like there was the tension building. And then after a month or so, you know, we turn into a actual girlfriend, boyfriend relationship type of thing. And she was amazing. She's so confident, you know, and so fun and playful, and it was this energy about her, which I found so attractive, and this confidence, and this like the way that she would just talk and to me, and she was so flirty. And incredibly attractive, and just how I was like so lucky that she wanted to date me, I guess. But the lesson here, I think, that I guess I can say is, fuck the apps. Fuck all the apps. Dating apps just suck in general for both parties, everybody involved. Unless you are a male model and look like a Greek god, I would just stay off them. You know? Socialize more where you have to meet new people. I think that's the way. Nobody wants their love story to be from an app. And I know it may not be as easy for you as it was for me, where you find somebody who is so confident and charismatic and does all the hard work for you. But, you know, you never know what would happen. You may have to ask them for their Instagrams and their numbers, and they ask them out on the coffee, but you might meet somebody amazing too. So, that's my story. Thanks for listening. I wish you luck.